What's going on, everyone? This your boy Freeze, and today I'm going to be looking at the newest endurance bots that we got coming to the game. So for the Decepticon side, that's going to be Nova Prime. For the Autobots, that's going to be Vector Prime. And we got a little bit of a dilemma here because, and I'll go ahead and actually show the bots in game because we don't have any visual effects right now for Nova Prime. This is my first look at this in playtest, and so we're been being told that we are going to get visual effects for this eventually. It's actually making it very difficult to test. So we'll talk a little bit about statistics today, and hopefully that'll give everybody some insight on exactly what we got going on with this particular bot. So let's go ahead. I got the 5-star version of Nova Prime up right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at his base stats. The first thing I always like to look at is I like to start off with the base stats. And so as it stands, this, like I mentioned before, this is a special class bot. He is going to do, well, first off, this is the maxed out version, level 70, with the rank of private that I'm looking at for the purposes of this video. So his damage, they got him at 655.3, which for a ranged bot, that's okay. I think that later on when I add the G1, that might have a little bit more of a positive effect. So we'll take a look at that here shortly. And it's about standard health for a ranged bot, ranged special class bot at least. You got him at about 25.5k. So not too bad on the surface. Now, when we start looking at his ability tooltip says that it will open a portal, unleashing Vector Primes. I guess in this case, Nova Primes. They would probably use the Autobot version for the tooltip. But you open a portal, unleashing your Nova Primes from other universes with 49% of your health and DPS. So one of the first criticisms I think that when we started looking at for playtest is the health part of it, just because part of that ability is to give you a percentage of the health in the DPS. Now, in this case, I got it at level 10. I will take it to ability 11 once we start talking about that particular subject. But when I'm looking at the health and the DPS, so 50% of the health, or 49%, I should say, of the health. So you're getting about half of the health there for each of those holograms. But you're also getting about half of the DPS. And they said they can jump from between targets up to 3 times, spreading acid. So because of the sheer volume of how many holograms you're gonna have, or well, I'm assuming it to be a hologram, I can see some value in that, just because it is spreading the acid. So you should get a little bit of anti-heal to go along with that. But it's really interesting. The last sentence in that tooltip says that enemies in range of the portal are slowed by 40%. And so I'm kind of curious as to see just how large this portal is going to be, and just how much impact that it can have. As many of you know, I'm a fan of these slowdown mechanics. So I'm really curious to see what that looks like. You got them at a cost of 6 plus 4. I think that that may be, just looking at the tooltip, a little bit on the high side, but we'll see how that works. Now, for an ability 11, what we got here is all of these Vector Primes, or in this case Nova Primes, are going to explode on expiry. So once that time expires, once the hologram is destroyed, it's going to deal 4 times DPS in the area. So I'm going to go ahead and upgrade that. And it seems like we're maxed out on the speed bonus part of that, the percentage. Now, I'm going to go on a limb and say that percentage wise, this is wrong. It showed it going up to 32.7k. So I definitely will update Space Ape and say, hey man, this, well, I think one of the playtesters already said that's not right. So I need to get the correct number for that. But when I look at this and say, hey, this is gonna explode. It's gonna do 4 times the damage. So when we look at 655, that's gonna be a substantial amount of damage that we're gonna get out of this. We're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of collectively, because if you're doing 6, so we're looking at about 26K. So maybe that can justify the cost. Um, Unfortunately, when I try to use this guy in battle, all we have right now is, because we don't have any graphics, all we have right now is this triangle, this kind of showing up on the battlefield. So definitely need the visual effects. I'm going to try the ability anyway. And yeah, it's just got a couple of blue dots right now. It doesn't even look like it's being targeted. So, well, now it's being targeted. And then you can see the little portal that's supposed to be there as well. So I think that I'm going to actually need some visual effects for this to work the way that I want it to work and be able to do some legitimate testing. But you can see the slowdown is working, and so there is some potential there. We just gotta see. We just gotta see how it actually turns out with the visual effects, how it's gonna synergize. Um, I do like that it's gonna add the acid to the mix. I think that is gonna be fun, and I do want to see this thing stun as part of that ability. Now let's take a look at the G1 real quick. So I got a G metal here. It is maxed out. So we'll add that to the mix and see how that's going to work. With the G1 applied, that's going to give a 14.5% damage increase. And it also says your clone's attacks are now going to stun their targets for 5 seconds. 5 seconds isn't too bad, particularly because there's 3 of them. I would like to see a little bit more. However, because there's 3 of these things, I do understand the concern in trying to keep that duration relatively short. Now, at a maxed out G metal, you see the increase in damage. The attack damage is now at 750.3 compared to where we had the 655 earlier. So now we're kind of looking at something that, especially when you include the fact that you have an ability 11 that when these decoys expire, that is doing ×4 DPS. I mean, it does encourage you, I feel like, to use the G1, but it's also at 4 times DPS. It's already a lot of damage. So is that truly necessary? That remains to be seen. Once I can get a solid test in, I'll explore that a little bit further as well. And once they actually fix the tooltips, we know the correct percentage of the health and DPS at the ability 11 point. Now, I was looking at combat bots, and a lot of times when we're in test, they default to just minions. I did ask the question, are we going to be able to use ranged combat bots? Only because one of the things that we ran into in the past, like for example with Leo Prime and Predacon Inferno, one of the things that we ran into was that they intentionally wanted those bots to only carry melee weapons and minions. So I don't think that's the case here. I think usually when we first get the shell for combats, that they'll probably wind up giving us something more along the lines of the range combats. So we'll see how that goes. I did sign up for this event, particularly because I like Mayhem mode. If you hadn't seen it already, check out my video that I just made regarding how to navigate Mayhem mode. I got it down to the science where I can finish that event for about $40 without a whole lot of effort. So I'm looking forward to it for that reason. The bot will just kind of be like a consolation. But as I find out more about this bot, I will be talking about it on my live stream, and I will be talking about it um, in more detail, hopefully in future videos. So make sure that you do catch the live stream so that you can get all of the updates. Make sure to subscribe and then just go ahead and set your notifications for it so you don't miss any of my content. And as I find out more about Nova Prime and as I find out more about Vector Prime, I will be sure to update you. I also, for those of you who aren't on my Discord server, I've been making a little library of just different topics, new bots, new combats, because a lot of times folks will go ask questions about what order everything came out in, and then I'll have to go dig and research because I don't believe in remembering things that I can look up. And so I'm trying to make that a little bit easier on everybody as well. So if you're not on the Discord server, make sure you join that as well. But anyway, guys, I will see you on the live stream, and I'll see you on the battlefield. Freezius out.